This review was a request from either the Invisible Man review or my Us movie review, but this review came out of one of like 10 movies that a person asked me to watch, and I ended up finding those movies. And this movie stars Sam Rockwell, who is in Iron Man 2. I recognized him. I was like, oh, that's the guy from Iron Man 2. He's the bad guy in Iron Man 2. And you know, this movie's an hour and 45 minutes, and I never felt like an hour and 45 minutes could be so long. I just watched Army of the Dead, and that movie's 2 hours and 30 minutes. And this movie, Joshua, is so long and dry, and it's hard to watch. And I'm gonna review on this episode movie breakdowns today. What's up, world? Welcome to another episode of Movie Breakdowns. I'm your host, Ali Zakka. What's up, world? Welcome to another episode of Movie Breakdowns. I'm your host, Ali Zakka. What's Movie Breakdowns? A movie review series. We look at new or old movies, give them a grade, 8 to up, plus or minus if do count. And this movie you want me to review? Let me know. Please put in the comment section below and I get to it as best I can. Also, Patreon/Ali Zakka. On that Patreon, where you request me to do a movie, if you're paying for my services, I get to it immediately, put it up there for you so you can watch it. And then those who get it on YouTube and Facebook might get it much, much later. Heck, you might not even get it on Facebook because I automatically upload on YouTube. Facebook just like, I feel like throwing a little trinket out there. Anyway, you get much more stuff such as trade reaction, trade reviews, much more thoughts, first thoughts on movies, all that on Patreon. I also got to give a shout out to Tyler Phoenix for his support. Thank you so much. And when he asks for a review because he paid for my services, I do it like that. So that's the benefit of being a Patreon member. Now, let's go ahead and get into today's review of Joshua from the year 2007. First thoughts. This movie is dry. Really dry. We need some more sauce on here to make this movie a little more spicy, a little more tasteful, because it's a dry movie. It's a dry movie. Acting is okay. Some actors and actresses are stronger than others in this movie. Storyline wise, it doesn't flow well. The movie We Need to Talk About Kevin does this same premise much, much better. And maybe because We Need to Talk About Kevin was based off a book, but this premise of what this movie Joshua is about is done much, much better in that movie. I would say go watch that movie versus watching this one, because that one at least you be entertained. This one, you're just like, I just waiting for the next thing to happen, ready to get this over with. Heck, an hour into the movie, you finally get to the main part where you're like, oh, we're finally getting some juicy stuff. And then you're just like, all right, we're back to square zero again. This movie is dry. It is really dry. It is slow. And some of the choices the writers made for characters, just like, why do I care? So, what's this movie about? Joshua is about a boy who is jealous of his newborn sister. He wants the attention, but his mom resents him because, just like this is, when you talk about Kevin, he was crying all the time as a baby and she couldn't get him to stop. And then eventually he just kind of became an awkward kid. He's a 9-year-old little boy who parents kind of don't really pay attention to him that much. So he feels like he's not getting love. And then when the newborn comes in, he really feels like he snaps and he's trying to do things to set up where he can get their attention, but he's also doing things like murdering small animals, and then he works his way up. And eventually you'll think it comes down to the mom and dad fighting the son off to like say like, oh, our son is evil. No, not really. Like, the kid wins in the end, but you don't care. And I say that with the most driest tone. You don't care. And if this could be a cult classic, so I could be like starting some fires out there, but like if you like this movie, and that's your prerogative. That's fine. I understand why you like this movie. There are little details in here to be like, oh, look at that. It's a thing he talked about earlier. Oh, look at that. It's a little thing there. Oh, look at that. Look at the seeds they planted. But like the fact that it took so long to plant those seeds, and then for the payoff to really happen, that really wasn't much of anything, because you're waiting this whole time like, we know what's gonna happen. The movie's about Joshua. It's about this kid who apparently is the bad kid. You got the mom who thinks she's going crazy because the husband is not around. The husband really doesn't care. The mom also is abusive to the husband in a certain sense, where like she's yelling at him. So he's kind of feel like he's not being worth much of anything. He feel like his needs are not getting met. She feel like her needs are not getting met. And it's just like, oh, we're throwing relationship drama into this movie about this kid who is more the issue, but we really don't focus on the kid because we're looking at the mom, and she's like can't sleep because the baby's crying, but she doesn't know why, and she yelled at the husband for it. We know it's not his fault. You have the husband who's like, he's kind of sexually frustrated, so he's like trying to think about looking at porn at work, and then trying to hit on his wife. His wife doesn't want it because she's tired and exhausted, and he's not setting the mood, and he's just like, what's that to do with the kid and Joshua? On the meanwhile, Josh is doing his own thing, like, Mom, I want to go walk the dog. Fine, go walk the dog. He goes off and walks the dog. And there's a brother in the movie who's like, you just let your 9-year-old son walk the city of New York like that? She's like, yeah, he's fine. He's not like most 9-year-old kids. You let a 9-year-old kid walk out the house with a dog on a busy street. Okay, cool. Also, there's things like where they show that Josh was really smart, but yet he's really into the pharaohs, really into Egyptian culture, especially like the process of moving on to the next life with mummies and tombs. He's really into that, which he didn't get any information of that. The parents never taught him that, but the parents don't keep their eye on him, so they're just like, how does he know this? And they're not keeping an eye on him, but he's telling them all this stuff. Instead of the dad being interested in this and trying to figure out where did he learn this information, he's just like, neat, son. And then when the animals go missing, he doesn't think, my son just talked about ripping open animals and taking out guts and everything and stuffing it with stuff so that way he can get on to the next life, which he shows his dad how to do this in front of him with a stuffed animal. So I'm like, your son is showing signs of some very unhealthy tendencies here. Like, why is he ripping over and opening the stuffed animal with such vigor and knowing how to take the stuffing out and know how to put it back in and wrap it back up? Like, who showed him this? Is he not? Oh, we had a pet hamster that disappeared. Okay. Oh, our dog just died. Okay. And my mom just got killed out of nowhere. And another thing, the lady fell, but there's a bunch of people out there watching. This is middle of New York. One person would have saw the kid push the woman off the steps. Now, granted, there was nobody up there, but I really doubt it. Nobody walked outside and was like, he just pushed her. This kid's a menace. Or there's a scene where the dad snaps. He snaps and he starts beating his child. Starts beating Joshua. He slaps him in the face. I was like, that's messed up. He didn't have to slap him in the face, but then he started whooping his butt, like spanking, old-fashioned spanking. And he was going too far, so like people were trying to stop him, which that is very, very acceptable. However, nobody, not one person sit there and watch the dad try to tell his son to come off, and his son wouldn't do it, and just constantly like just berating his dad and just back talking him. And not one person saw that. Not one person was like, you know, that kid actually deserves that. He deserves that spanking. And I'm not an opponent to spanking. I had my fair spankings as a kid, but I'm not like somebody like, oh, spanking is the way to go. But I'm just like, 2007? Yeah, I think that kid needs a spanking. A pat or two. Yeah, timeout for sure. Also in his own room, not leaving anything. Thinking about his thoughts. Why was he being that way? Why is he being disrespectful? But, and then the kid also set up where made the parents like the bad guys, but the parents were like they was abusing him throughout the movie. Yes, the parents were being like neglectful in a way where they was like not paying attention to him because the dad was super busy and the mom actually did hold a grudge against Joshua. And that doesn't really get delved in more. Matter of fact, there's a scene where the mom like gets lost and then she just disappears. And doesn't really come back into the movie. And leaves the dad with handling the kids. And I'm just like, okay, I know they had a little splat and that's why she left, but like, why is she not coming back in like say this is still my kids, I still want to support the baby's mine, like I still want to support. None of that. None of that. And the stuff I'm talking about, by the way, when it comes to the dad snapping and him realizing everything, happens within the last like 40 minutes of the movie. The rest of the hour of it just like, oh, it's tough to get through. It is very tough to get through. And that's pretty much Joshua in a nutshell. Go watch the movie We Need to Talk About Kevin, because that does it way better. Suspense is way better. The setup is way better. Joshua is just dry. Okay, so let's talk about some actors and actresses in the cast. So you got Jacob Kogan, who plays Joshua. It was okay. Like, it wasn't like the best I've seen as far as character wise for the character, but Jacob does a good job getting the expression, doing the blank faces, doing the things where he looks and is like, oh, a person react this way now, and he goes and react that way to kind of mimic the dad. Like, it was okay. Jacob's performances was okay, and I felt like the writing for Joshua was okay, but for that character, I feel like, you know, his stuff was fine. It just, I feel like the movie should delve more on Joshua versus Joshua being more of like a backseat to Sam Rockwell's character and the mom's character's problems, and versus like him finally picking up in the last 40 minutes of the movie. We know what the movie's about. We know the movie is called Joshua. Why is he not the main focal point throughout this whole movie? What's just doesn't give, it's like the movie was happening, Joshua was doing his own thing until the movie decided like, oh yeah, we probably should focus more on Joshua now. Like, yeah, the movie's named after him. The parents should be suspecting him the whole time. Joshua should be doing all these other things more consecutively versus like, we'll talk about Sam at work. Why do we need to talk about Sam at work and him looking at porn? Why do I need to see a sex scene for the mom and dad? Why? Tell me what that has to do with Joshua. Nothing. Oh, it shows the dad's really busy at work. There's other ways you could have showed the dad being busy at work. There's other ways. Vera Farmiga, she plays Abby, who's the mother. I thought she did okay. I thought she was okay. Like, it really seemed like she was the character who was like, this is my kid, and this is the one I'll have to face at the end of the story. And really, it doesn't go that route as it, like, I would have been okay with that trope being played up in this movie, and it doesn't. It's almost like she noticed something's off, but she keeps thinking of construction, all this stuff going upstairs, and all these other things, so she thinks she's going crazy, and it, for the most part, like, it should have really been her story versus Joshua, or Abby's and Brad's together versus Joshua. It was almost like divide and conquer, but it was like a slow play. Like, you got to experience the mom sitting in the bed most of the time, and then she cuts herself and then decides to wipe blood on herself because she had red shoes. I'm just like, what? Sam Rockwell, who plays Brad, the movie becomes like, in the second half, becomes more of his movie. Like, the first part of the movie is kind of like Abby's movie, kind of like Vera's movie with Joshua, and then it turns into like Brad's movie with Joshua, and he like pieces together the puzzle with everything's going on, but he doesn't tell the police about it. He doesn't say, hey, my kid's messing with animals and killing them, my kid killed the dog, my kid my mom. You know, he doesn't talk about any of that. Like, there's evidence. there's evidence. You have fingerprints, 2007. Fingerprints, evidence. The dad snapping in the park, okay, that shows a sign of abuse, but everything else that lives up to it would have made more sense. I don't know, it just seemed odd. Or like the parents didn't go clean the son's room to find the dead hamster that was wrapped up at all. The movie, we need to talk about Kevin. The mom goes into the room to search the room because she feels like something's up with her kid. The parents didn't do that with their kid, the 9-year-old kid who they knew was odd. Okay. Writing. Dallas Robert, who played Ned Davidoff, he was fine. And then Cilla Winston, who plays Hazel Krim, she was the mother of Brad, and she was like a religious person, and she wanted to get Joshua baptized. Now Abby is Jewish, so she's like, I don't follow Christianity, so she didn't want to do that. And Hazel was like, well, your son needs to be baptized, and she decided to take him to church or prayer, and Josh was like, okay. But then he started talking to her about like the Egyptians and their way of life, and she was like, heathens. And I'm like, I guess you put this in here because the movie's called Joshua, which Joshua comes from the Bible, and there's, a religious background behind that. I see it, but it didn't really play up on anything. Like, it was just like, oh, Joshua, religious stuff. Because that's what I thought this movie was going to be about. I thought the movie was going to be about like some like devil thing and some kind of extra, not extraterrestrial, but like spiritual thing that's going to take over the son, because the son's Joshua and Bible and religion. Like, I thought that was going to be more displayed in the movie, and it wasn't. So I was actually shocked by that. The movie kind of opens up that way. But yeah, that's it. Music wise, I did like how in the movie Joshua was playing the piano, and the piano ended up becoming like the eerie tones and background setting that the movie plays to set up the scene. I did like that. I like how certain stuff would like flow into the music, I would say. Like, it wasn't just the tone setting music in the back of the movie score. It wasn't just that. It was like characters playing the piano that turned into the movie score. I thought that was kind of neat. That was something I don't see often in movies. And then also I do like how characters go from being bright, shiny, like upkept things and like not things, but upkept in their appearances, and then throughout the movie their appearance downgrades as they're going through this struggle to figure out what's wrong with Joshua. Like Abby's character, she was more bright in the beginning of the movie, and then kind of like doesn't come out her sweatpants, doesn't come out her tank top, just stays in like she hasn't slept in days. And then Brad does the same thing. He's like all kept up and dressed nice, and then as the movie goes out, like he has a denim jacket on, sweatpants, and like a tank top, smoking a cigarette. And I thought that was kind of funny. I was like, that's a nice little touch there. Let's see here. Other than that, I can talk about how much the movie made as far as budget. Worldwide it grossed, God, that's probably the lowest I've seen so far. Oh man, it's $719,000. That's how much this movie grossed. Yeah. Yeah, this is a movie you should watch on Friday night. No, don't waste your time on this movie. Grading time, I'm gonna grade the movie Joshua from 2007 a D. It's a D movie. It's hard to watch. Like, I can watch a Zack Snyder film and it's 2 hours and 30 minutes, and that sometimes feel like a 2 hour 30-minute movie, but I can get through it. This hour and 45-minute movie, or hour and 46, if you really want to be particular, it's just tough to watch, and it's dry. Writing's not the best. Sorry. If you've seen the movie Joshua, what did you think? Please put in the comment section below on that. See you guys next episode of Movie Breakdowns, and keep being awesome. Thank you guys for watching this episode. I really appreciate it. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Also, you want to see what else I'm doing in my normal life and other things that's going on, please follow me on Instagram at Ali_Zakka. I'll put it right here around my face. Yep, right there. Also, if you want more episode of movie breakdowns or grind towards success or whatever it is I'm doing on YouTube, you know what? Follow my page right here, like I said before, the little comment thing right there, And then you can watch the last episode of movie breakdowns right here, and watch the last episode of Grind Towards Success right there. Other than that, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate y'all. See y'all next time, and keep being awesome.